apology.
Just the one?
Well, one in particular, anyhow. When I returned from the Free Marches, I was certain my family was destroyed for being on the wrong side of the war. But my father did it to himself. No conspiracies, just one stupid, selfish man. I should have known better.
Yeah, you should have.
I was an idiot, and like a child I blamed you and the Wardens. And here you've even proven to be a friend of sorts. Or am I reading that wrong too?
No, I'd like us to be friends. And seeing as how you've moved past how terrible your dad is and have come to accept that.
Good. You know, when you conscripted me, I would not have thought I'd end up liking it. Anyway, let's be on our way. I don't want to take up more of your time.
I must confess I am concerned about our recent discovery in Culhirol. We've seen that the Darkspawn have changed into something else.
I'm also worried about that. Those are kind of horrible looking.
This could be very dangerous. They already outnumber us by a huge margin. If they have indeed changed and become intelligent, they could organize. They could create and command armies. They could strategize.
Time for us to draw a good plan, then.
May I also suggest improving the keep defenses? Our numbers are so diminished that we may not have enough men. However, I guess that adding Grey Wardens into our ranks indiscriminately may also work. I guess they are also worthy if they pass the joining. But let's not waste time. We've much to do.
I have been thinking of Aura, the mortal woman who was wife to Kristoff. I continue to envy their love, but envy is what a demon feels. A desire for something it cannot have.
There's no harm in wanting something beautiful.
I think I understand. You coexist with both great darkness and great beauty. It must be confusing. Yet now I find myself wishing to be more. It is enlightening. Thank you for bringing me to this world.
Thank you for remaining at my side.
Which I shall continue to do, if you allow it. You have proven yourself a friend, Grey Warden, an example of all that is worthy in the mortal world. I am proud of what we will accomplish together.
About the elf woman.
What about her?
Hesitant as I am about her personally, I think it's praiseworthy that you are willing to help her.
As I said before, we need Grey Wardens.
Yes, I know that. Our armies are depleted and we need people. I guess I miss the old days when Grey Wardens were chosen from the best recruits of the land, instead of adopting the first hermit we found in a cave.
We don't have that luxury right now.
Of course. I apologize. I was out of line. Truth is, I do not know her. She's indeed a good fighter, and she's willing to fight for who is most important for her. I'm sorry for my cruel words. It's better if we go. Please forgive me.
I'm gonna ask, what do you think about Sigrun?
Oh, I think she is a good woman.
Anything else?
Well, I haven't talked to her that much, but she seems to be a lively young woman. It's a shame that she has seen and experienced such terrible things in her time in the Legion.
She was lucky to have escaped when she did.
Yes, I believe so. There are battles that cannot be won. She was outnumbered, her companions had fallen, and she was right to call the retreat. She's alive now and able to try again. So, you wanted to know my opinion, and there it is. I think she's a good addition to our cause.
Commander.
Report on the situation.
There are full Darkspawn armies in the field, Commander, just like the Blight, maybe worse. Before our soldiers were called back to the Vigil, they brought what civilians they could find to safety. I fear the Darkspawn may strike the Vigil, or even the city of Amaranthine herself. The assembled lords and ladies of the Arling await your word.
Commander, many of the lords have gathered. The Darkspawn have fielded armies, and the nobles want to know how you will protect them. Shall I assemble them, or do you need more time to strategize?
Another wishes to undertake the joining.
I'll make the preparations. From this moment forth, Velana, you are a Grey Warden.
Ah! Oh, this game is so broken. Oh, I love it. Perfect.
She yet draws breath, Commander. She will recover.
You became a warden to an audience. Assemble the men. We're going to war.
I will send messengers at once.
We've waited enough. Those who are late will just have to be filled in.
Lord Edelbrecht, this is the commander of the Greys Council, not yours.
I am fearful for the villagers on the plains. There's a Darkspawn army in the field, and with the soldiers returning to the Vigil.
We can't give in to despair.
This is no...
Commander! Commander!
What is it, girl?
A Darkspawn army is within sight of Amaranthine.
Make her protect us. They're attacking the city?
Amaranthine has been undermanned for weeks. She may not last long.
Our forces cannot move quickly enough, but a small band might make it in time.
But that's... suicide.
We must try.
And I will rally the city's defenders.
If anyone can turn the Darkspawn tide, it would be you, Commander.
Fighting a horde of Darkspawn with almost certain death awaiting? Don't even think of leaving me here, Captain.
Who do you want to take with you, Commander?
Here we go. We are going to do with the mage, Anders.
And here I thought I'd retire to the country with a plump wife and several nubile mistresses. I suppose it'll have to wait.
Who else will you bring?
Nathaniel, this is a chance to redeem your family.
Initially, I thought you were utterly mad to invite me to join your order. But redemption... a man could die for that, and feel good about it.
Who else will you bring?
That's all.
And so it is decided.
Don't you go dying on me, Commander. That's the Legion's job.
I'll make sure the Vigil's ale supply is safe. Leave a few Darkspawn skulls for me to kick in, right?
If I ever had doubts of you, they are erased. Fight nobly, and if you die, die with honor.
May the wind be ever at your back, Commander.
The rest of us will stay here. Make her protect you and hold you close, Commander.
Wait, you're not going to leave me here, are you?
Of course not.
Listen, I respect your wishes as commander of the Grey Wardens. I will respect your decision. If I have to stay behind to guard the keep, I will do so. But know that I want to go to Amaranthine to fight at your side. Now, what will my fate be?
You're coming with me, buddy.
And your Mabari?
He will stay and guard the keep. I trust him. He's my commander. He's my second in command. He'll get him through this.
Very well, Commander. Let's teach those Darkspawn a lesson.
Let's get him! So the whole reason I picked who I did to go with me into Amaranthine was there is a glitch in Dragon Age 2 that sometimes flags Anders and Nathaniel as being dead if you don't bring them along with you and leave them at your keep. And also I brought Roland, mostly because that's what Mike Houston would do. That's who she would bring along. And she would, in fact, bring Anders and Nathaniel as well, because they are buddies.
Please, Grey Warden, save my family. My family's in the city.
Please calm yourselves while I speak to the Warden Commander. Warden Commander. I am glad you arrived when you did, but I fear there is little that can be done now.
What happened? It can't be over so quickly.
I fear it might be. A couple of nights ago, a swarm of gruesome creatures emerged from beneath the city. They spread pestilence and destroyed everything they touched. Then at dawn, the other Darkspawn attacked. Warden Commander, it's too late. Amaranthine is lost.
City still stands. It is not lost.
The buildings might remain, but there will be few survivors so long after those creatures appeared. Their corruption is so virulent. At least a quarter of the city succumbed within the first day.
Constable, there is a Darkspawn approaching, alone.
Archers, take him down!
Peace. Do not be killing. Only talk. Architect has a message for Grey Warden.
What message?
The Mother's army. It marches to Vigil's keep. She attacks now. The Architect, he sends me to warn you. You must save the keep. then finish the mother in her lair.
Vigil's Keep is under attack?
The Grey Wardens are valuable to the Architect. The mother, she knows this.
If we leave now, we may be able to make it back to the Vigil in time to save it.
And what about the Darkspawn here?
Soon, they will go to Vigil's Keep as well. The mother, she wants the keep destroyed utterly.
The Darkspawn has a point. We cannot leave with this other army hot on our heels. The Constable says the city is lost. I say we destroy it, burn it, and all the Darkspawn within.
I'm not giving up on Amaranthine.
Warden Commander, we have already lost Amaranthine. We can't lose the Vigil as well.
I have faith in the fortress I have built and the men I have trained.
Commander, we can't save Amaranthine if it's already lost. We can still save the Vigil.
If we destroy this city, we're no better than the Darkspawn. The commander is right. We have to try.
I don't want to see fire ravage these streets, but it may be our only chance.
But if there's a chance we could save someone, anyone.
It would take a miracle. I will follow your lead, Commander.
No, no. If you stay, the mother will get what she wants.
You! Fight with us, and I will show you mercy.
I will go. I will do as the Grey Warden bids.
Amaranthine, then. The Darkspawn are never disorganized on their own. Something must be leading them. If we eliminate the Darkspawn leadership, we can go about finding survivors.
Good luck to you. And make her watch over us all.
Let's make haste, Commander. You made the right decision in choosing to help these defenseless people. But let's not forget that an army is advancing towards the keep if what that Darkspawn messenger said is true. Make her allow us to prevail here, and quickly. We must arrive at the keep in time to help our men.
We can't leave these people to die. I'm sure the wardens at the keep can defend themselves.
I am proud to serve with you, Commander. We have a duty to defend the innocent. Let's move. The city needs us.
So the whole reason Cousland let that Darkspawn live was because, 1, it didn't attack her, 2, it didn't seem to be attacking any other humans, and it did agree to fight with her. Otherwise, it probably would have been dead. Because she always gives diplomacy a shot. There's always one chance that they get. And if they use up that first chance instantly, then they die. That's just the rules. That's how it goes. The more people who they have to help defend the city, the better. As they said that Amaranthine was severely unguarded. But honestly, it seems like the guards here are doing pretty well on their own. But they probably would not have lasted. Especially if you set the entire city just on fire. So, if the option is to set the entire city on fire, dooming people within to maybe kill a few Darkspawn, which makes no sense to me. Like, there's still a gigantic army underground. It makes more sense to try and defend a city that is underguarded by people than to just set it on fire and return back to the keep that is heavily guarded by all of the men that she trained and outfitted and the walls that she had specifically built for defense. And also considering Cousland's background and what happened to her own city, she was not about to just abandon it to its attackers, because she remembers what happens at High Ever. So this is almost like a little bit of a redemption to right the wrongs a bit of what happened at High Ever by protecting the city. And I think it's the same way for Nathaniel, if you look at it that way. And then also the fact that they weren't able to save Lothering because all the Grey Wardens and the armies died at Ostagar is another factor. So she is not about to let another city fall to the Darkspawn, at least not by her own inaction.
Warden Commander, we've received word of another wave of Darkspawn approaching the city. They will be here within a day.
Then we must prepare.
Most of the survivors are taking refuge in the Chantry. The militia has set up a base of operations there. You can rest and resupply there. In the meantime, my men and I will search for more survivors.
Warden Commander, come quickly. The Darkspawn are still breaking through.
Breaking through where?
The inn! They're coming from the inn somehow!
Would they be at the inn?
I don't know, but you have to stop them, or we're all dead.
Stay in a chantry. You'll be safe here.
May God bless you, Warden Commander.
Time for round 2 of the Battle of Amaranthine. The Darkspawn have gotten in. He said the Darkspawn were coming out of the inn. And earlier in the game, you go into the inn, and underneath it is actually a smuggler's den. And seeing as how it is underground, it seems like that is the most obvious reason as to how the Darkspawn got in, due to this giant structural weakness. Which is why you seal up the tunnel at your own keep, which is further stating how much safer the keep is than Amaranthine. And now my Warden has the magical power of teleportation, our super speed, I guess, as the game explains it. But I just say it's because of her Warden blood, and that just gives her that power, because that's the only way that even makes any type of sense. And I also see a lot of the children attacking Amaranthine. So even though they said that the mother was attacking Vigil's keep, it seems like she's in control of like most of the children, right? And the childers. So she is also attacking Amaranthine. She's just attacking everywhere. But there's also no saying that it's not also the architect attacking as well. So who knows, but they both gotta die.
The dogs will dine on your corpses.
Is it just me, or do you actually think you have a chance?
You've saved Amaranthine.
Commander, the Darkspawn are retreating.
How does the keep fare?
We haven't heard much, but what we have heard is not good. The Architect's messenger has given us directions to the Mother's lair. We must pursue her.
What about the architect?
The messenger said the Architect also planned to kill the Mother. I do not know what to make of that.
Mother, architect, both are monsters. Both must die.
Commander, what should we do with the messenger?
Let him go.
It shall be as you say. Make her watch over you, Commander.
Oh my god! Aha! Paralyzed runes!
Good work.
And so we meet again. No, Uther. That is not how this must begin. I owe you an apology, Commander. When last we met, I intended to explain myself. Fate, however, intervened.
I escaped, you mean?
I restrained you, only to prevent the misunderstanding that occurred with the rest of your order.
Misunderstanding? Is that what you call it?
I sent the Withered to ask for the Grey Warden's help. I should have anticipated that you might view our approach as an attack. I am rarely able to judge how your kind will react. It was most unfortunate.
Unfortunate? You took those men and bled them dry.
The Grey Wardens that were brought to me were already dead. I took their blood just as I took yours, because I had little choice. Things have not gone as I planned. I only ask that you hear me out. Should you still wish to slay me afterwards, you may try.
There's nothing for us to discuss.
How very unfortunate. But I cannot blame you. You are as bound to your nature as we are to ours. I am sorry, Uther. It appears that I will not be able to keep my promise after all. You will have to forgive me, Commander, for fighting to preserve my destiny.
So the architect is 100% full of it. We read his notes inside of Silverite Mine after we were captured and knocked out. And then he took all of our weapons and imprisoned us, and then sent Darkspawn that tried to kill us the whole time. And then we found that warden who had his legs crushed by a Darkspawn under control of the architect and died as a result. So he can't be trusted at all in the slightest. He might subdue the blight for a short amount of time, but I think the future ramifications of letting him live would be far, far worse. So he dies.
Time to die.
No.
Get back
Good fight. I'm behind you on this. We cannot trust Darkspawn. No matter how good their plans seem, nothing guarantees he won't change his mind, not to mention he might have been lying.
My thoughts? Exactly.
I wouldn't want to be back here after finding out that he had been taking his time to build a greater army. Let's press forward.
If it isn't the hero of the hour. The slayer of the mighty father, come to claim a reward. Oh, what a delicious day.
They just get bigger and uglier, don't they?
What is that?
Has the Grey Warden come now to slay the mother too? Will she join the father in oblivion?
You're very perceptive. Now die.
Then the silence ends here. Perhaps we will hear the song again when we die. Oh, let it come. Let it come.
Not much to say about the mother fight. It's kind of boring, as it's most fights in the game. And yeah, she's dying. She's the human brood mother, and it's disgusting. So I'm gonna skip to the end.
This is the end for you.
After the deaths of both the architect and the mother, nearly all the remaining Darkspawn fled back into the deep roads. The raids on Amaranthine came to an abrupt end. Although some of the architect's disciples likely escaped into the deep roads with the rest of their brethren, they have, so far, shown no inclination towards vengeance against the Grey Wardens who killed their savior. Yet the deep roads remain plagued by the Darkspawn, and it seems certain that in time, another blight will begin. The danger may have passed for now, but the cycle of the old gods continues. Word of the Grey Warden's heroic salvation of Amaranthine spread like wildfire. When the magnitude of the losses at Vigil's Keep came to light, sympathy drove generous donations from all over Ferelden into the region's coffers. Amaranthine was restored to her former glory within a year, Vigil's Keep in 5. Because of the Warden's support for law and order in Amaranthine, Constable Aiden and his men were able to distribute the smugglers' goods to the battered survivors in the grueling days that followed the Darkspawn defeat. A Darkspawn messenger, set free after joining the Wardens in the Battle of Amaranthine, struck out on his own. The city was buzzed with stories of a cloaked but lisping figure who aided travelers in danger. At the same time, reports of isolated cases of the Darkspawn disease emerged. No one connected the two. Darkspawn, Batman. The Arling's peasants suffered greatly during the war, and suffered yet worse in the years that followed. Success at the first riot at Vigil's Keep emboldened them, and thus other uprisings followed, often put down with brutality. Although the war devastated many farms in the Arling, all agreed the loss would have been greater without soldiers for protection. The farmholders developed a certain reverence for the Warden Commander, as well as an ongoing reliance on the Grey Wardens for order and protection. Vigil's Keep stood alone against the horde of Darkspawn. The Mother's forces outnumbered the Vigil's defenders many times over. But the sturdy dwarven walls proved impervious to any boulder an ogre could throw. The Vigil soldiers, clad in silverite, each felled a dozen Darkspawn before they died. The Vigil held one night, then two, then a week, and eventually the attacking horde broke upon their walls. The Keep developed an almost mythic reputation, the few survivors immortalized in song and legend. Peace allowed the Wardens to replenish their numbers soon. Vigil's Keep bore a capable army with Wardens at its core. From their ranks emerged new heroes to challenge threats to Amaranthine and all of Ferelden. Through taxes and levies, the Vigil was rebuilt. Years later, Voldrick Glavanock stood on the battlements and pronounced that the defenses were acceptable. He would never speak more highly of any human engineering. Some nobles claimed the Grey Wardens were involved in Ban Ezmerel's disappearance on the eve of the final battle against the Darkspawn. Dark whispers hint that a conspiracy to oust the Wardens from Amaranthine is still afoot. Among the many legends that the Vigil spawned was one of the great heroes of the next age, sheepherder turned soldier by the name of Sir Alec the Valiant, who eventually founded an order of knights that lasted 1,000 years. The commander's blade, Vigilance, crafted from the bones of an ancient dragon, was boldly stolen by thieving crows. The blade changed hands many times thereafter, with some master swordsmen pursuing the weapon their entire lives. Some claim that this legendary blade has had a life of its own, and that its power is steadily growing. The Warden Glavanock further refined his lyrium sand explosives, but left the Warden's employ after Qunari mercenaries tried to assassinate him. Although the Dwarven bombardier took his secrets with him, the learned say he left clues for others to follow in his footsteps. The Vigil soldiers wearing the distinctive silverite armor Master Wade crafted came to be known as the Silver Order. Under the tutelage of the Wardens, the Silver Order developed into one of Ferelden's most revered military forces, a lasting memory of the Vigil's famous commander. With Valana and the Architect gone from the region, the Pilgrim's Path began to see traffic again. The massacre of the militiamen and the merchants, however, led to hostilities between the neighboring human settlements and any Dalish clans that passed by. One human villager soon kidnapped and murdered a Dalish child. The clans reacted by giving the Wendingwood a wide berth, but both sides know that at some point the elves will return for revenge. The elves are always screwing up because of vengeance. They're so bad at it, it's always making things worse. A few years after Calharal was emptied of Darkspawn, Orzammar began sending expeditions to rediscover the knowledge of smithing that had been lost within the Thaig. Eventually, House Helmi decided that Calharal was too important to be abandoned. At a tremendous cost of dwarven lives, they cleared the tunnels leading to Calharal of all Darkspawn, making the road between Orzammar and the fortress safe again. Calharal was reclaimed for Orzammar once and for all. As promised, Voldrick and Dworkin presented Orzammar's shaperate with the stone marker that told of how Calharal's castless had taken up arms against the Darkspawn. The commander of the Grey was invited to Orzammar as a guest of honor at a feast commemorating the defenders of Calharal. The shaper read the names of the castless off the marker, then presided over a ceremony to return them to the stone, as befitted warriors of their stature. In time, the Arling began to forget the tales of apparitions in the Black Marsh, and ever so slowly settlers drifted into the region. Scholars said the veil was still thin, and thus the area still dangerous. But the people only cared that there were no longer frightened whispers in the shadows. The village was slowly rebuilt. Twice the Baroness's mansion was rebuilt and occupied, once by a wealthy merchant and another time by an Orlesian mage. Both died mysteriously. Afterwards, the mansion was torn down completely and the site left untouched. Anders remained with the Wardens a few years longer, training the Order's next generation of mages, but when the Circle Tower called on him to deliver a lecture on the nature of the Architect, much to the Templars' dismay, Anders told the commander of the Grade that his time with the Wardens was over. And yet not 2 months later, Anders returned to the Order, ever after. The Wardens were his home and his lasting companions. When the walls of Vigil's Keep were breached, the surviving defenders watched in horror as a section of stone collapsed upon Valana. When the rubble was later cleared, however, there was no body. Valana was just gone. Over the next years, Nathanial dedicated himself to the Order and to clearing the blemishes on his family's name. After saving Turn Fergus Cousland from a bandit attack, a portion of Amaranthine was returned to the house. Nathaniel passed the holding to Delilah's son, and when a new castle was eventually built there, a statue of Nathaniel was erected in its courtyard. Justice fought valiantly at the battle for Vigil's Keep, but before the victory horn sounded, a Darkspawn sword removed Kristoff's head. It was, of course, unclear whether the spirit of justice perished or simply departed. At the least, Kristoff's wife, Aura, was finally able to claim her husband's ashes. It was Sigrun who led the charge against the Darkspawn when Vigil's Keep was attacked. Once again, she had an army behind her, and once again, they fought Darkspawn with no hope of survival. This time, Sigrun did not flee. At Vigil's Keep, Oghren rallied a last-minute defense of the gate, taking on 2 ogres simultaneously to allow others time to regain the courtyard. He eventually passed out from blood loss, and when he awoke weeks later, nobody was more surprised than he to discover he had been credited as a hero. Oghren continued to regale young Warden recruits with tales of his powers in both battle and bed. His drinking games prompted at least one recruit to declare that she'd rather reattempt the joining than lift another mug. The Warden commander's urging, Oghren took a more active role in his child's life. He visited Felsi often, and wrote letters which the Warden commander graciously proofread nearly every week. As for the savior of Ferelden, she did not remain as commander for the Grey for long. The Darkspawn were no longer a real concern. The blight well and truly over, it was time for her to move on. She returned to life at court, resuming her duties as Queen of Ferelden and receiving a hero's welcome when she rode back into the capital. King Alistair awaited her at the palace gates, grinning from ear to ear. Some years later, the savior of Ferelden vanished entirely. Nobody knows for what purpose she departed, yet neither does anyone think her tale is complete. Sir Gilmore went back to his estate, where he learned his father had been in poor health. In the years that followed, he spent most of his time on the estate, eventually becoming the next Bond. However, he did not forsake his duties as a warden, and took on the task of training new recruits and junior members.